I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review, and this is another paid request, this time for Joseph. If anyone's interested in sending paid requests, you can send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box, and it could be for pretty much any type of video requests, reviews, re-reviews, topics, lists, what have you. Now, this is a film called Ultimate Justice, which I did not know what this was. It starred Mark Dacascos. You have Matthias Hues in it, who plays a good guy. This movie is not that good, but I didn't hate it. Maybe because I just saw Black Rose with the Russian Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nevsky. Nevsky's it. Maybe because this went at a good enough pace and it had plenty of action. Mark Dacascos, nice to see him in the lead. I do wish he had more to do physical-wise. One of the issues of the film, it has some pretty bad dubbing that... When I say dubbing, it's not like another actor dubbed Mark Dacascos or another actor dubbed Matthias Hues. It's just at times people are dubbed and you really tell it's dubbed, so they did not do that good of a job with it, and it's very... I believe this was a German movie or something, like it's like a German kung fu movie at times with the dubbing. And then the muzzle flashes is CG. It's like, can we get away from that shit? And, you know, Squib CG. Now, the plot of the film is Mark Dacascos is leading this team of mercenaries. So it's kind of like, I would say his version of Expendables, but a lot of these guys, you don't know who the hell they are, like, actor-wise. But he's leading a mercenary team. They're on a mission. And you do see the team kicking ass, like Matthias Hues. Like, he's a good guy. Usually he's not a good guy, so it's nice to see him in that way. This is one guy named Mike Moeller. He might have done the fight choreography in this, but he's part of the team. He's a younger guy, clean-shaven. Looks like he's 15, but he's not. But he's really good in the action. Like, he's very impressive. And, you know, they don't give him a lot of dialogue, which I think is for the better. And he doesn't say a lot, which again I think is for the better. But he gets most of the fights, and he is, like I said, very impressive physically. Like, he does this, like, 1-2 uppercut, oh yeah, uppercut, what the hell's uppercut? Uppercut, and then, like, a nice drop kick, and later on... he fights these guys at a gas station, including this one chick who gets up to him and he fucking punches her out. Did very impressive skills. Or he's fighting these guys with baseball bats and they all have motorcycle helmets on. He was pretty damn impressive. Like, it was nice to see him fight. Now the plot of the film is they're there to rescue someone, and they do, but then one of their own gets killed. The team disbands. Mark Dacascos made that choice. Sees his friend, this commander, at this party. His friend meets this lady. The movie then skips 8 years later. The commander Hans, I just say Hans, not Hans Gruber, but Hans is married to this girl, and they have a daughter and raising her. One day Hans is attacked, the wife is beaten and raped, killed, the daughter's taken, Hans is hospitalized. Mark Dacascos sees his friend and says, I'm going to get the team back together, and I'm going to get your daughter back. And so they get the team back. Matthias Hues, kind of funny, he's working at a burger shop called Happy Burger. That was a fun moment. Mike Moeller, he's fighting these guys, these assholes at a gas station. I mentioned that's an entertaining moment. I did like this chick who has good skills and he's like knocks her the fuck out. Was refreshingly un-PC, but you know, it made sense. This girl's trying to kill him and beat him up. He's going to knock her out. Made sense. So I was like, oh, cool. And of the team, like one's a former cop, one was a doctor of the team, and he also did torture interrogation. Now he's a monk. You have a few other people too. Now, it doesn't go too long without a fight scene. I think that's one of the positives of the film. Like there's a scene where the whole team is in this sort of barren, how I put it, barren floor of this building, and you know, each one get their moments to the fight. The reason I said this isn't really a good movie, or that good, I should say, like I said, the dubbing is very obvious. The CG muzzle flashes. The dialogue isn't that good. I mean, there's lines like, he was a good soldier. He was a good friend. And that's not really the line, because you can make that work. Hell, Predator had a line similar to that. He was a good soldier. Well, he was my friend. That's more the acting and not having fucking dubbing. That exchange works well. That's one... I mentioned that because that's an example where the dubbing kind of fails lines of dialogue of that nature. Now, an actual bad line of dialogue is, to live is to fight. Yeah, what does it mean to die? What? I had to write this down. To live is to fight. And what does it mean to die? It just sounds awkward. The way it's said, and it's... And really, like, the only people I cared about on the team, Mark Dacascos, because I like Mark Dacascos, Matthias Hues, because I love Uncommon Peace. It was cool to see him as a good guy. And maybe Mike Moeller, just because I was impressed by his physical skills. The other guys, like the former cop and some other people, and even the doctor turned monk, I didn't care about them. I didn't know who they were actor-wise. I didn't care about them character-wise. Like I said, the dubbing takes one out of the movie. And so really you're watching it just to enjoy the action. And there's quite a few action. Mark Dacascos, though, should have been able... They should have let him do more physically. Most of his action is shooting. Very few times he shows his physical prowess. And he still got it. But they're few and far in between. He shows a little bit during the whole barren floor fight scene where everybody's fighting. He shows a little bit in the third act, but it should have been a lot more. Because Mark Dacascos can do that. So I don't know why you direct Mark Dacascos, but like, don't use the martial arts too much. I don't understand that. I don't get that thinking. That's one of the reasons you hire Mark Dacascos. Matthias Hughes, he gets shot, injured, and he's out of the film for quite a bit. That was also disappointing. But it's one of the things that I think it was cool to see Mark Dacascos. It was cool to watch Mike Muller, his fighting skills, kind of like a fight demo, where, again, like, he's fighting these guys with baseball bats. He chases this guy who's on a motorcycle, and they give this decent fight, breaking the guy's neck. And it does something that the Expendables doesn't do. It does kill some of the team. And that's one of the things with Expendables is that, a Randy Couture, Terry Crews, like, some of them could have been killed off, which would have made the name Expendables fit better. Here, I appreciate what they were doing. I wouldn't say I liked it tremendously. Because, spoiler alert, starting now, spoilers. Mark Dacascos and the doctor break into a house. Meanwhile, the rest of the team gets killed. Matthias Hughes has been hurt. He gets up, fights a couple guys, and he gets shot. The tech guy, he gets killed while he's at his desk. Mike Muller, who's been shown so many times to be this very efficient ass kicker, he gets murdered by these 3 guys in ski masks. And I'm like, wait a minute, we've seen him fight. Like, he should be able to kick these guys' ass easily. Why is it now these 3 guys take him down, then 2 of them tie him, and 1 shoots him in the head? I'm like, it's surprising, but I can't really say I liked that. I thought that character should have lived. I think enough of the team had been killed previously that you could have had... I would have preferred Mark, Matthias Hughes, and Mike Muller be the 3 guys by the end. No, because the doctor guy, I didn't give a shit about his arc, that he was a monk and torture. I didn't give a shit about him. Maybe the dubbing hurt him, as well. So Mark and the Dot, they get to a place they need to go, and you find out that Hans, the commander, is the bad guy. Why? I'll get to that in a minute. So Mark Dacascos has alright moments of fighting. A little bit of hand-to-hand, but not nearly enough. Then Mark finally confronts his friend, now our bad guy, which I'm like, okay, that's the twist? Okay. First he was mad that Mark took the company away at the beginning of the film, because I guess he didn't want to retire. And Mark's like, that's why you're doing this? You had peace, you had a family. Well, my wife, before she was my wife, you and her had a one-night drunken stand years ago. And that daughter is your daughter. I'm like, is this As the World Turns? The Kung Fu edition? Guiding fight night? Guiding fight night? I mean... The Yun in the Fists? I mean... So that was what we call the Yun in the Fists. There you go. Okay. I don't buy this guy fighting Mark Dacascos. Mark should have beat him up in 30 seconds. I don't buy this Hans guy being this big, proficient fighter that should give Mark any trouble. I just don't buy it. Although Mark does do a nice drop kick during that scene. They kill the bad guy and They go off, mark in the dock, and the movie's over. So there's a lot of issues I have with the film. Probably on all rights and purposes it should be a rant, but it was one of those things that sometimes when I watch a film nowadays, I'm like, it's bad, but I've seen so much worse films that I'm like, at least it's a short film. At least there's a plentiful amount of action scenes. At least I wouldn't say I was bored. And at least I could see Martha Costos, Matthias Hughes, and Mike Muller's action fight sequences. Which he's got some skills. Athleticism and skills. But is this does this compare to fucking Mark DeCostos Drive, which needs a fucking Blu-ray? I've heard MVD is doing it, but I've heard, I don't know any more about it. Crying Freeman. No, it doesn't compare to those films. I don't know what else to say. It's just one of those, if you have go in with low expectations and you want to watch some fighting, maybe you'll get some out of it. But I don't see you like wanting to add it to your collection or anything. I don't see myself ever watching this film again. So it's one of those movies, like whatever. Okay. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.